Roll call, please.
Mr. Morris,
Here.
Mrs. Thompson. Here. Mr. Gray,
Here.
Mr. Bittner,
Here.
Ms. Wall. Here. Mr. Elam,
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here. Approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of council from May 26, 2026. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Yes,
Ms. Wall.
I have two proposed amendments. The first is regarding resolution 2026-R-21. The vote outcome for suspension of the rules was recorded as carried. However, there were only 4 affirmative votes and it requires 5 to pass. Therefore, I would move that we change the motion carried to read the motion failed. The second is regarding 2026-0-05, which was the repeal of chapter 878. The first motion was, excuse me, to suspend the rules, not amend as presented. And the second motion was for passage, rather than suspend the rules. So I would move to correct that the first motion was to suspend the rules and that the second motion was for passage.
Okay, is there a second to that motion? Seconded. Motion made by Ms. Wong, seconded by Mr. Morris. To amend both 2026 R-21 in the minutes. To say that the motion to suspend the rules failed. 2026-0-05 was. Motion was to suspend the rules and second motion was for passage. Roll call on the amendments, please.
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson. Abstain. Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong.
Aye.
Mr. Elam.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Are there any other additions or corrections to the minutes? Is there a motion to approve as amended? So made. Motion made by Mr. Morris. Seconded by Mr. Gray. Roll call, please.
Mr. Morris,
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson. Abstain. Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong.
Aye.
Mr. Elam.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Correspondence, clerk, do we have any correspondence this evening?
I do not.
Does any member of council have correspondence they wish to share this evening? Hearing none, we'll go on to administrative department heads reports. Mayor and Safety Director, Mr. Eva, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Johnson, members of council this evening. And the public, fire department for May 2026. For May, there were 112 calls for service, 25 fire service calls, 87 rescue EMS calls. Of the 87 calls, 6 calls were for invalid assist. The department training for May, EMS drills were approach to the pregnant patient and obstetrical emergencies. Department monthly shift drills, EMS did stroke, fire did search and rescue. Department members who are part of the Lake County Hazmat team attended training. Department members who are part of the Lake County Fire Investigation Unit attended training. And the department captains attended shift officer training. During the month of May, the fire department hosted station tours for both kindergarten classes from Lake Elementary, as well as participating in their career day. The department participated in the Memorial Day Parade and was honored to participate in the Menor Harbor Yachting Club's Memorial Day celebration. Fire department did a fireworks site inspection at the Menor Harbor Yachting Club, sprinkler tested inspection at Andrews Place Apartments, and initial business inspection at Crafty Workshop, 7771 Munson Road. Members who celebrated service anniversary in May: firefighter Spencer, 41 years, firefighter Santos, 11 years, firefighter Dewar, 1 year, firefighter Tom, 1 year. As I mentioned last week at Planning and Zoning, our state representative Dan Troy has secured an additional $100,000 from state funds for Lake Overlook Beach Park. Along the lines of community development, Mrs. Valentine and I met with the realtors from Keller Williams, who listed the former Cardinal Sports Bar. They wanted ideas as to what could go there. We shared the CRA commercial incentive information with them. Also, Dave Knott was in here after the last council meeting, and he is working on plans for the Munson Road property development. Also, a couple of months ago, I approached the Blystones and asked them if they were interested in the adjacent Andrews Road property. I have not heard back from them yet. As far as communication, last meeting I heard about asking for reasons for personnel moves. And as far as personnel moves, those are sensitive. That's sensitive information. And I'm not going to share that during a public meeting. If we want to have an executive session or even an individual conversation, I would be glad to talk about any personnel moves. Also, we talk about better communication, and all I can do is get you answers to questions that you ask. If you don't ask me questions, if you don't ask Mrs. Valentine questions, I can't get you answers. The last couple of weeks, I worked with Mr. Bittner and Mr. Gray on problems with Republic Services, Ms. Wong with property maintenance problems, and we're able to take care of those things in a timely manner. And if we're not, then all three of those council people I've sent replies to, and we're working as far as property maintenance. Republic, we had problems with. We've had ongoing problems with Southland, where I've had emails and phone calls, and Mrs. Valentine's had the same. We're here to answer questions, so just ask, please. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Administrative Director, Mrs. Valentine, good evening.
Good evening. So Southland is finishing up topsoil, or they pretty much, I believe, finished up the topsoil and the grass has been planted. They still have to restore the staging areas they used. And we should be scheduling a final walkthrough maybe next week. The beach outfall project is at a standstill because we need ODNR applications signed by the homeowners before we can move forward. And we are working with the law director to remedy this issue as the homeowners have not signed that paperwork. The bids for the Plains Road sinkhole are finished. We should be able to get those posted to the public within the next 2 weeks. And we did hear from Jason at ODNR regarding the Overlook Beach revetment. He said the technical reviews for both the applications have been drafted and will be finalized in the near future. That was May 15th. And Jeff at CEC sent a follow-up email on June 8th, and ODNR responded with the letters were approved that morning and were going to be mailed. I would like to remind council that the bond ordinance 2026-07 needs to be voted on today in order to make the deadline. And the tax budget 2026 R22 on the agenda today has the same recurring levies as last year and the same millage. The millage is the same. The amounts changed based on Lake County's assessment of what we should be earning since the county auditor adjusted home values. All of them have been slight increases, with safety forces having the largest increase of 100,000, and one of the fire protection levy actually had a decrease of 15,000. And that is it.
Okay, thank you. Law Director, Mr. Zeman, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of council. Nothing to publicly report tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions for the administration? Yes, Mr. Morris.
Ms. Valentine, I think you or Mr. Parker had stated that Severino was done with Southland, and that the city was going to do the planting of the grass and so forth, correct? Is that it, or am I misunderstanding?
Well, I think like the word done, like they're not done, like they go in stages. So they finished doing the topsoil at the residence houses, and the service crew already did the grass and seeding, but right behind them.
Okay, because I could have swore that one of you two said that they were done and that the city was gonna finish it off. That's fine, because I was curious, because I've seen the Severino crew up there as of today. They were.
Yeah, and they're still not done because they had some driveways that they had to finish, and I need to make sure that they did that. And then they still have the staging areas that they didn't completely clear out and fix, so.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any estimate from them as to how much longer it's going to take, or?
We should finish out by the end of this week, but I mean,
I know, trust me, I know, there's no guarantee of anything with that. So, I get that, I was just wondering if they had a ballpark of what they thought they could get it done. Other questions, yes, Mrs.
So a lot of us all noticed that emails are coming from the zoning email regarding BZA information.
right,
So it's kind of confusing to some of us. Some of us are not reading those because we think it's a zoning issue and it's actually the BZA. Just as a heads up, I mean,
is zoning,
BZA or Parks and Rec?
oh, Parks and Rec,
It's a-
I'm sorry, Park and Rec, yes.
okay,
So Park and Rec is not a zoning issue though. It's not zoning related.
okay, I will have her use this email.
Okay.
Email address.
They should read all your emails, just saying. Yes, Mr. Elo.
Mayor, I'm happy to hear that you had a conversation with Lystones. I had a conversation with him some months ago. Both Dave and his mother, about that plot. And, I don't think they know where they want to go with that right now. They wanted it and they didn't want it, and we would sell it to them and we wouldn't sell it to them. And so I don't know where they are, but I'm glad that you reached out, made conversation with them. They do a lot of work nationwide, and they do a lot of work. They're a pretty involved operations of voting the voting community around. So I think anything we can do to support them would be very beneficial. So I'm glad that contact has been made. Also, I want to commend you and Mr. Fittner for the way you took the wind out of my sails last week in what I was saying. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I really did. It kind of slapped me upside the head a little bit. So thank you for taking the wind out of my sails.
You're welcome.
Yes.
I'd also like to comment on Mr. Elam's statement and your mayor, about the Lystones. I know David reached out to me and asked me if I knew what the price would be, and I said, I have no idea. That, I would imagine, one is the city would have the property appraised. Makes sense, and they would probably want to know what your intent is with the property in writing, so it doesn't become a boat junkyard. That would be a shame. I know in the past, they've talked to me about, they'd like to expand their building because they can only tear one boat down at a time. And they too reiterated the fact, Mr. Elo, that they do a lot of business nationwide there. They'll have people come into Menor Harbor Yacht Club or the lagoons and come up to their shop, order, get their parts, and then go on to dinner somewhere in the local area. And then go on up to their business. So it would be nice to see that business flourish here in our city instead of move out.
When I talked to them, they had just reopened for the season and they were both there, David and the mother. And I said, think about it, make us an offer. We're more than willing at this point to move what's in there back over here, make a spot because we have to replace some of the fencing back here anyway. And, like I said, I haven't heard back. If one of you would like to approach them again, or I can approach them again. I don't know if it's kind of, like you said, hot and cold about, yeah, we do or no, we don't. But I agree if they can expand their business, why not? And, it's really a nice area for them to do that.
Good move.
Would you like to reach out to us, Troy, or do you want me to do it?
Oh, do your thing.
Okay.
I'll stop and see them. Dave, that property behind where I saw, city owned that. There's woods back there. I think the city.
Yes, I think so.
The
Yeah.
city owns it, I believe.
Yeah, and I don't know how many parcels are there.
There's no access to it. Is there?
Right.
I don't believe.
No,
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it goes back a ways. Okay, I would think that if we do talk with them, that ought to be, maybe a part of the conversation. I don't know if they're interested in that or not, but I'd be happy, I will stop and talk to them.
Sure.
I can't talk to them officially as a member of council because I don't know what it's worth. I just know that the process that they're going through. And if we can assist and help in any way, I think it would behoove the city to do that. But thank you.
Ryan, and I know they've been busy because I see boats out front, and then I think you could probably be busier if you had the extra line too.
Yeah. It's, they've, thank you.
Other questions? Anybody else? All right, we will close this quick. We'll move on to board, committee, and commission reports. Board committee commission reports, zoning committee from March 23rd.
March 23rd, all members of the committee were present, along with Mr. Johnson and Mr. Morris. The committee had received feedback from the planning and zoning. The committee felt that they did not have enough information from the planning and zoning committee. They needed more clarity on information of what changes they wanted to occur in that current ordinance.
Okay, planning and zoning commission from May 4th.
May 4th, planning and zoning, discussion regarding zoning code 1280.07 parking prohibitions. Zoning committee is looking for more, the zoning committee came back and said they are looking for more defined outlines of how this ordinance should read. We discussed federal and DOT classifications. DOT classifies any vehicle with a GVWR over 10,001 pounds as a commercial vehicle. That was a standard Mr. Leonard was using when he had been researching. Some discussion centered around the 26,001 pound GVWR threshold as a point at which a commercial driver's license CDL is required. Truck plates. The question of whether a truck plate is a designation equates to commercial classifications was raised. The committee noted that many personal use pickup trucks also carry truck plates, making this an imperfect standard. The following recommendations will be forwarded to the zoning committee. No more than 2 axles, single driveway, 1 such vehicle is permitted, double driveway, 2 vehicles will be permitted. Nothing that requires a CDL to operate. GVWR not to exceed a range of 10,000 to 14,000 pounds, as verified by door tag, registration title, or weight slip. The word commercial should be moved to a more prominent position in the ordinance to clarify that its restrictions apply to commercial vehicles specifically. We also discussed the recording, audio and visual of meetings. All members expressed reservations to not having this done. The meeting adjourned at 7:17 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Ordinance committee from Thursday, May 28th.
The ordinance committee made on May 28th at 6:30 p.m. In attendance were myself as well as Mr. Bittner. Ms. Thompson was absent. Also in attendance were Council President Johnson, Council Vice President Morris, Council Member Gray, and members of the public, Ms. Donnell, Ms. Hazy, Mr. Strong, and Ms. Hayes. The committee discussed further draft refinements regarding the regulation of backyard chicken coops, including whether or how to regulate the sales of agricultural goods such as eggs, which are different from household goods and belongings sold at garage and yard sales per chapter 830. How to define the penalty structure for violations. We gained clarification on how to retain residential land use, and trying to decide whether attempting to accommodate individual property exceptions might result in more variation than we are willing to accept or able to enforce. Input from the public present, including another current flock owner, was welcomed. Some changes will be considered by this group, including increasing flock limit from 4 to 6 and adding the prohibition of exotic fowl. Another discussion about structure height limit ended in disagreement among committee members. Arguments for raising the limit from 6 to 7 feet include providing greater coop design flexibility, and that other accessory buildings such as sheds are visible above fences. Arguments against the higher limit are that small flocks may not require such a tall building, that coops may be more visually objectionable than the more ubiquitous storage shed, and that potential odor from roof ridge ventilation should be kept at or below the privacy fence height limit, which is currently 6 feet. Committee is making an effort to research this subject, and I hope everyone realizes that, or at least sees that. We're trying to take into account the input of those interested in keeping flocks, as well as those who may be less interested in having them nearby. We should soon be approaching the final version. With regard to the recording of all public meetings, committee members remain split on whether to proceed with this requirement. There were arguments offered for proceeding and those against. We discussed whether audio recordings only, which we understand to be currently available upon request, might be an acceptable alternative to video footage. This discussion is ongoing. And under new business, the committee received a request from the administration to consider modification of the public records policy 280.10, which was just amended in November, to align more closely with state law regarding the exemption of victims from fee collection for police cam video footage. The committee had no objection to this idea. However, given that the November revisions to this section did not originate in this committee and were directly presented to council by the administration, it was felt more appropriate than any further proposed amendment be presented in the same fashion. If the need for additional discussion arises, the measure may be assigned to committee by council president. And finally, another request, this time from the police department to consider modification of our newly adopted scooter law to include language that explicitly requires sidewalk operators to yield to vehicular traffic in the roadway, as it is explicitly required of bicycle riders using the sidewalk. Consultation with our law director about whether pedestrian duty when crossing at an unmarked intersection as specified elsewhere in chapter 416 pedestrians is sufficient was sought, and the advice was that explicit language ought to be added in that subsection of that same chapter. The committee will address that at our next meeting. We adjourned at 7:59 p.m.
Thank you. Planning and zoning from June 1st.
Planning and zoning met on June 1st at 6 p.m. All were present with the exception of Ms. Weisenberg. A petition was received from Mr. Dewar, Mr. Lewandowski to vacate a piece of street that dead ends onto Woodside. The committee saw no reason to deny this request as the city no longer plows or maintains that section of the street. The homeowners will need to have the property surveyed and then showing which side of the street will belong to each resident. They will have to bring this back to the committee for review. The committee also had a fence permit that was denied at 5481 Granada. The fence permit was applied for in April. The contractor had not heard from the city, so assumed he was good to continue work or start work. Resident on the street had contacted City Hall when they had noticed that a new fence had been going up. Rock Solid Friends Pro owner Vincent Marimore presented his drawings to the committee, discussed the changes that would need to be made to bring it back to city code. The owner scheduled a meeting with the resident and will be bringing back drawings to the city from Hall for review. Meeting adjourned.
Good, thank you. Committee of the Whole met on June 4th, 2026 to discuss ordinance 2026-0-04 and related finance proposals, particularly whether to lower the spending threshold requiring council approval. Present were all members of council, Mayor Eva, Administrative Director Mrs. Valentine, and Law Director Mr. Zeman. Main points discussed were the support for lowering the threshold. Several council members argued that reducing the approval limit to $5,000 would improve oversight, accountability, and communication around city spending. There was opposition to lowering the threshold. Others said lowering the limit would not prevent legal violations, could slow city operations, and might delay necessary purchases. There was concerns regarding past spending. Much of the discussion centered on alleged past spending violations without council approval, including purchases such as tobacco, tasers, and activity related to the fire truck. The alternative proposal was presented by myself, suggesting lowering the threshold only for durable goods, those items lasting 3 years or more, while leaving consumables and service contracts under the $25,000 threshold unless they exceeded that amount. Members also discussed improving communication between council and administration, adopting better reporting standards, providing staff training on purchasing procedures, reviewing best practices from other cities, beginning the appropriations process earlier, and developing five-year departmental planning documents that are based on needs rather than wish lists. No final decision was made. The matter will remain in committee of the whole for further review while members examine how other cities handle similar purchasing rules. The meeting ended with a motion to adjourn and passed unanimously. Were there any other boards, committees, or commissions that did meet that are not reported here tonight?
Yes,
Yes.
the zoning committee had another meeting on May 27th at 7 p.m. Chairperson Thompson was absent. Her committee members Wong and Elam were present, along with zoning administrator Ms. Ice, Council President Johnson, Council Vice President Morris, Council Member Gray, and member of the public, Mr. Strong. Based on the recommendations you heard reported were provided to the zoning committee by the Planning and Zoning Commission at their May 4th meeting, draft language incorporating these criteria into a revision of 1280.07 parking prohibitions was discussed. The plan will be to try and provide a complete draft to present to the Planning and Zoning Commission at its July meeting. We adjourned at 8:21 p.m.
Yeah, thank you. Are there any other board committees or commissions? All right, hearing none, we move on to open the public to speak. When we come to electors, state your name and address for the record. This is your opportunity to speak to council. Again, it is not a back and forth with council. Anyone wish to speak? Here you go. We'll close this portion open to the public to speak. We will now move on to legislation for council. Resolution number 2026-R-21. If you please read it by its title.
Resolution number 2026-R-21, third reading, a resolution confirming the appointment of Michael Breeden to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Before we begin this discussion, I would like to suggest that given the very public acknowledgement at our last meeting that there is an ongoing neighbor spat between Mr. Morris and the candidate whose approval we are considering, that Mr. Morris consider recusing himself from discussion and voting on this matter.
Good. Anything else? Discussion, motion, anything?
Could I,
Yes.
I was asked about the process I go through to pick somebody. And the email answer I gave was, I looked at Mr. Breeden's resume, his letter of interest, and also his volunteer application form. There was nothing in any of those documents that I thought would disqualify him from serving on the Board of Zoning Appeals. The usual process, which I did this time again, was call Mr. Breeden and had a conversation with him and asked him what he knew about the Board of Zoning Appeals. I made him aware of when the meetings were, how it works, and he was very cooperative, very interested, and he did say, you know what, I'd like to do this. If I have questions, I will ask you as we go along. But he was very interested. And again, if you look at his letter of interest and resume and application, there is nothing there that would disqualify him from being on this board. Thank you.
Yes.
I only have one comment to make about Mr. Breeden. And it was just brought up again that there's a neighborhood feud, not just between me and him. There's another neighbor. But Mr. Mayor, you brought up about I have supposedly 2 verbal warnings against me for riding my zero-turn mower down the street. Yet you didn't bring up about another neighbor who has called the police on this gentleman more than I ever have. Why is that? I kind of felt that was a personal attack on me, sir.
It was just information that I received from the police department.
Okay. I will state that when I look at somebody who's applying for anything, I try and find out as much information as I can about them beyond what they just supply me. And what I found, that I do look in the courts to see what their history is, because that tells me a lot about the person and the decisions they made. And I found it concerning, so I will just leave it there. I mean, I discussed that in the executive session with council. The mayor wasn't there for that, but I did, the administrative director was there. And so I expressed my concerns. I expressed those concerns to the mayor in writing. So I'll leave it there. Is there a motion on this?
Brother,
Yes.
I would move that this be tabled to the next meeting. I have no clue what the issues are except what's been talked about. And I don't know if there's gonna be any more controversy or conflict in city operations, council, administration, not over this. But I don't know, does anyone have any specific information that disqualify him? Or not, I don't know. I just know what I've heard. But are we ready to make a decision on this? Questions floating around.
You did a motion to table. Is there a second to the motion? Hearing none, motion fails. Is there any motions on this?
Motion for passage.
Motion made by Mr. Bittner for passage. Is there a second on the motion for passage?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Bittner, second by Mrs. Thompson for passage. Roll call, please.
Mr. Morris,
With all due respect to Councilwoman Wall,
No.
Mrs. Thompson,
No.
Mr. Gray,
No.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong,
Abstain.
Mr. Elam,
No.
Mr. Johnson.
No. The motion failed. Resolution number 2026-R-22, if you please read it by its name.
Resolution number 2026-R-22, a resolution approving the 2027 budget.
Okay, so. Spreadsheet. Now, my question for everyone, especially the administration, would we rather go through this in great detail tonight, or would we rather schedule a separate meeting? What would be most conducive? Because I think there's a lot of questions on the spreadsheet and discussing the budget. Is that correct? I've heard. We can do it all tonight, or we could.
Were changes made from? This is about the tax budget.
Yeah, it's just the tax budget. It's just something that the county gives us new layout and asks me how to categorize it for how the county wants it. Not anything to do with our budget or how we're going to spend the money. The millage stayed the same, like I said, there's no new levies or anything like that. It's just the dollar amounts changed based on what Lake County gave me, not based on anything that I figured out. So, and that's really the only thing that's changed in the budget. And other than that, like the spreadsheets themselves are like, that was a whole new sheet. They don't normally make you break it down like that. They used to just be what's your expenses and how much do you spend. And if you look at the prior years, and then this year they came up with that whole new system. This is the first time I've seen this new format. So, and all they cared about was the general fund for whatever reason. They didn't even ask about the other funds. So I just put it in the categories that they wanted them in, basically.
So I guess, do we want to ask questions about each spreadsheet tonight? How do we want to handle this? Because I think because it is new, it's kind of confusing for people, so I just want to give everybody the opportunity to decide how they want to.
I think purpose committee as a whole. I would second that.
Okay, are you guys comfortable with that, having a separate meeting to discuss that?
It's fine, as long as we have the public meeting.
Right,
Right.
we'll still have we'll just schedule a committee to hold somewhere in between, and then we'll have the.
What is the time frame for this?
It was that
July 14th or something, I believe is the date of the
Public hearing, right, yeah.
Oh, and then it had to, I think it was just right after that. I wanna say the 20th of July.
Right, so we just have to have the committee, the whole meeting before the 14th of July. So. Is everybody comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay, then we'll refer that to the committee of the whole. Because I think it will take a while to get through it, and I don't want to burden the meeting through just with that tonight. Ordinance number 2026-0-04, staying in the committee of the whole for now. Separate committee of the whole, we gotta let the case go on. Ordinance number 2026-0-06, if you could please read it by its title.
Ordinance number 2026-0-06. Second reading, an ordinance enacting chapter 286, sections 286.01 through 286.04, inclusive of the title 8 of the codified ordinances of the city of Mentor on the Lake, the same related to establishment of comprehensive plan implementation council.
Discussion on this tonight?
Yes,
Yes.
the RFP has been closed for 2 weeks. We need to move on this to get that moving.
I'm sorry.
Citizen Advisory Committee. Which is helps in this the grant, DLC grant, you know.
The RFP for that is separate from what you're trying to do here.
Right, but don't they work hand in hand? Do you have a timeline? RFP's closed, you can pick the company corporation.
I don't know.
The RFP for the TLCI.
I think the question is, is there any urgency to have this board created so that when there is a proposal that we approve of from that it's implemented faster? Like,
No, because you don't, once you decided to go into the grant, you don't have to say so how it goes from here, all the way up until they're done with the planning process.
okay, I didn't know if there was feedback they needed from how the,
Well, they're gonna have like, there will be feedback in, what are those, like the steering committees?
right, and so this is kind of that, like, are they gonna,
Yeah, I mean, so, but we can't tell the public, like. The public is gonna give their feedback and then they're gonna put, their plan together.
So the purpose, according to this legislation, how it's written, the purpose of the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Council is really to oversee progress and guide implementation of goals outlined by the comprehensive plan.
Right.
So the CCLI grant and what it's doing is separate from the comprehensive plan. The results of it may be used to help incorporate or implement parts of the comprehensive plan, but this group specifically, I don't know that it would automatically have participation in the TCLI grant planning process. It would be
No.
more for if that impacts the comprehensive plan, how the comprehensive plan would be.
Right, it's a lot of it's about data too, they collect data and then they like present the data to everyone and then everyone makes a decision on, oh. Like these bike lanes should go here based on this data, this traffic light should be moved here based on this crosswalk should be here based on this. And I'm going to assume that everyone wants the data because it's helpful and we don't have to buy, we're not really buying anything, we're just getting a plan. And then after the plan, then when you try and submit for the other TLCI. Which is the implementation plan, and then that's where you want more of your, well, I want my crosswalk to be rainbow colored or those little dots on a road or whatever.
yes,
I would like to see this, if everybody's agreed to what we think the composition of this should be, move forward for the fact that, as the mayor had said, Mr. Knox is already coming up with a plan now. And I feel that that is something that would go to this committee to be reviewed as implementation of what we kind of want to see in so. I would like to see us to start to get this committee together.
is there a question with that?
I'm gonna make a motion to back, suspension.
Suspend the rules? Second. Motion made by Mr. Bittner, second by Mr. Gray to suspend the rules. Roll call please.
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong.
Aye.
Mr. Elam.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
motion for passage.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Morris, second by Mr. Bittner for passage. Roll call please.
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong.
Aye.
Mr. Elam.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, that passed. Ordinance number 2026-0-07, if you please read it by its title.
Ordinance number 2026-0-07, second reading. An ordinance to provide for the issuance and sale of not to exceed $725,000 of notes of the city of Mentor on the Lake to pay a portion of the cost of the acquisition and installation of the Lake Street tree. Hold on. The Lake Street Trunk Storm Sewer, the Pinehurst Street Trunk Storm Sewer, and the Southland Road Storm Sewer, and all related expenses thereto, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, this does have to be passed tonight, so is there any discussion on this, questions on this?
Motion to suspend.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Morris, second by Mrs. Thompson for suspension of the rules. Roll call, please.
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong.
Aye.
Mr. Elam.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Motion for passage.
Motion made by Mr. Morris, second by Mr. Gray for passage. Roll call, please.
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong.
Aye.
Mr. Elam.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. That is passed. Old business. Do we have any old business tonight?
What the question, Mr. Did the reducing of the approved figure, did that come up? Is that on the agenda tonight?
No. Nothing.
The old business.
So new business. Is there any new?
Oh, I thought you said new business, old business.
Yeah.
New or old?
Was there any old business?
Yes.
What?
I move that this item about the $5,000 be removed from council's agenda. It's not, it's really, it is punitive in its design. It is not solving anything. And it's just taking up valuable time that council can spend on other things. So I move that it be removed from council's agenda.
Currently in the committee right now. So. It's in the committee of the whole, so. It's
So that prevents me from making a motion on it.
right, it's in the committee. Yes.
Very good.
Okay, new business. Is there any new business tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on to open the public to speak. Again, if you'd like to speak, please come to the lectern, state your name and address for the record. Okay, we'll close this portion open to the public to speak. Move on to announcements and settings and meetings. Anybody have meetings they want to announce right now?
Parks and Recs, June 11th, 6:30.
Parks and Rec,
This Thursday.
June 11th, 6:30.
Would the chair of the zoning committee consider calling a meeting with enough time to review the proposal for 128007? The time to get it on planning and zoning's meeting for July 1st. That would be, sorry.
July 6th.
That would be meeting soon-ish, like. The
You say for
22nd.
zoning, right?
Yeah. Because their agenda typically closes 10 days
10 days.
before, but like if we met, if you let them know it's coming and we meet the 22nd, say.
The 22nd, the room is available.
It is.
Yep.
Would you? Be available
Sorry, what date?
Monday, June 22nd,
Probably. Yeah, I'm sure.
time?
6:30 or 7?
Monday, June 22nd.
June 22nd. Yes, that's fine.
All right, what time?
6:30 or 7?
6:30?
6:30.
All right. Ordinance committee would like to schedule. Are you guys available Monday, June 29th, Tuesday, June 30th? Thursday, July 2nd?
29. It's good for me.
The 29th, the room is available.
What time your call is?
6:30 is fine.
All right, so ordinance committee will be Monday, June 29 at 6:30.
So we have ordinance June 29th at 6:30. What time, what day and time was zoning?
Zoning was Monday,
June
June
22nd
22nd.
June
6:30.
22nd at 6:30.
Board of Zoning Appeals is currently planning to meet Monday, June 15th at 7 p.m.
Okay,
Votes for committee as a whole, it's the 15th.
Yeah, we-
If you're taking votes, just
what
say
day?
the 15th, Monday.
The 15th.
Of what day?
You're not here, June.
Oh, June, no.
Okay.
So I was thinking July 2nd. Does that work for people? Thursday, July 2nd?
Out of town.
You're out of town. Okay.
July 2nd.
Tuesday, June 30th?
I'm gone the 28th through the 7th.
Do I hear? Let's see. Tuesday, July 7th. You're not here. You're not gone to live.
I'll be back to 7.
So you could come on sub. Okay, Tuesday, July 7th. Does that work for